Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, a safe and sound Clark Kent returns to the fold of his boss, Perry White, only to learn that the sealed letter containing the secret of Superman's double identity is gone. Realizing that he might never return from his search for the lost planet Apollo, Superman, before his departure, left a sealed letter with Dr. Millison, the famous scientist, in which he revealed the secret of his double identity. In the event that he failed to return by a certain time, Millison was to deliver the letter unopened to Editor Perry White. Returning to Earth a few hours past the stated time, Superman learned that Millison had just delivered the letter to White and Jimmy Olsen. And praying that they had not yet read it, he hurried to the Daily Planet newspaper in his guise of Clark Kent. In White's office, Kent learned that the letter had not been read only because it had disappeared. Shocked, Kent gasped.
My enemies get hold of that letter. Why, anything can happen.
Huh?
Great Caesar's ghost, will you please tell us what this is all about?
Gee whiz, I don't get it at all. Look, you didn't...
No, I didn't commit any crimes or anything like that. It's just that I... Well, you see...
No, I don't see.
No, neither do I.
What was in that letter, Kent?
What was in it?
Yes, what was in it that's so all-fired important?
Why, Well, how should I know?
How should you know? Oh, my dear sainted Aunt Tilly.
Gosh, Mr. Kent, something must have happened to you up on Apollo. How can you say you don't know what's in that letter
Wait a minute. What's the matter with you two? Don't you realize we're talking about Superman's letter?
Of course I know it was Superman's letter.
Well?
What I want to know is why you've been beating your chest and tearing your hair about it. You know what was in it?
Well, how should I know?
No, I've got to be calm. I've got to remember I'm not young anymore. But, Kent, if you don't stop bushing about the beat... beating about the bush and tell us what was in that letter,
Oh, I get it.
You get what?
Well, how could Mr. Kent know what was in Superman's letter? Isn't that right, Mr. Kent?
Of course. It's all very simple. I've just been talking for Superman, that's all.
For Superman?
Well, naturally. I'm giving you his own words from his own mouth, you might say. Obviously, he put something in that letter which must not be revealed while he's alive. I'm excited and worried because if that information does become known, he won't be half as valuable to humanity as he is now.
Gosh.
Superman told you that, Kent?
I told you, Chief. I'm giving you Superman's own words. He left that letter for you to be read only in the event of his death. But fortunately, he came back safely from Apollo, and so he must get that letter back before its contents are read by anyone.
Jeepers.
No, well, why didn't you say so before? Instead of gabbing about enemies and...
Well, I guess I was pretty upset. I still am, as a matter of fact. Now, what about that letter? What happened to it?
I don't know. It just seems to have disappeared.
Mr. White was sure he left it here when we went to the observatory with Dr. Millison. But when we got back, it was gone.
How sure are you that you left it here in the office, Chief?
I don't know now. I thought I did.
Do you remember, Jim?
All I remember is he was starting to open it when Dr. Bloomfield called from the observatory about sighting Apollo again. We ran out of here in such a hurry, I can't remember what happened to the letter.
Oh, that's great. Think, Chief. What could you have done with it?
I must have left it here because I didn't have it at the observatory. I looked. You remember, Jim?
Uh-huh. But then it should still be here.
That's right.
Well, I don't see it, but maybe it is still here somewhere. Come on, let's start looking. I'll go through these papers.
We already went through them, Mr. Kent.
Well, we've ransacked the whole office, even the files in the wastebasket.
Well, then where could... Now, look. You never lock your office when you leave, do you, Chief?
Well, no. Why should I?
Well, then someone might have come in, seen the envelope, and walked off with it.
Say, that's right.
Nobody could come in here but members of the staff, and none of them would dare take a sealed envelope off my desk.
We can't be too sure.
Well, I am sure. Anyhow, nobody came in here while I was gone. I've already questioned Miss Backrack, whose desk, as you know, is right outside my door.
Wait. When you two left here with Dr. Millison, did you go directly to the observatory?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How did you go?
Why, by taxi.
What kind of taxi?
What kind?
Yes, red and white, checker, yellow, which?
Oh, I think it was a red and white.
No, the yellow, I think.
Or was it a checker?
Oh, come on, make up your minds. Which was it?
Well, maybe it was a checker at that.
Gosh, I don't know what it was now.
Oh, and you call yourselves newspaper men.
What?
Well, gee whiz, we were all excited.
A reporter is supposed to keep his head and be observant.
Now, how do you like that for gratitude? We were worried about you fathead. We thought you were done for, and that's why we...
I'm sorry, Chief. Really, I am. I shouldn't have said that, but I'm very upset, and it's just... Hello? Excuse me, Chief. This is Clark Kent of the Daily Planet. Yes, will you put Dr. Millicent on the phone, please, and hurry. It's important.
What are you calling Dr. Millicent for, Mr.
Well,
Kent?
I just thought maybe he'll remember what kind of a taxi you were in.
Well, why is the cab so important?
Oh, he thinks I might have dropped the letter in the cab, I guess.
Yes, and what's more... hello, Dr. Millicent. Yes, listen, Yes, I'm fine, thanks, but badly worried. Look, do you remember what kind of a cab you and Mr. White and Jim Olson took from the Daily Planet to the observatory today? Yes, I mean, was it a red and white or a yellow or... A red and white, huh? Are you sure? Oh, that's fine. Did you happen to notice what the driver looked like? You didn't, eh?
Oh, neither did I.
No, I didn't either.
All right, thanks very much. Well, I haven't time to explain now. Yes, later. All right, thanks again, Doctor. Goodbye.
He said it was a red and white, eh?
Yes, and
Well, that's what I said first.
Well, you call the red and white cab company, Kent. Our driver might have found the letter and turned it into his office.
No, I'm going to the cab office myself. If the letter wasn't turned in, I want to find the driver. Come on with me, Jim. Keep your fingers crossed.
Sorry, Mr. Kent. There was nothing turned in by any of our drivers today.
Uh-oh.
Of course, it might be turned in later. If you want to leave your phone number,
No,
why...
I can't wait. The letter is too important. I've got to find the driver of that cab and talk to him.
Yeah, but I...
How are we going to do that, Mr. Kent? We don't know who he is, and none of us even remember what he looked like.
No, Jim, but cab drivers have to keep a record of their trips. Isn't that right, Mr. Sandler?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Some driver's log will show a trip from the Daily Planet to the observatory on Mount Arthur around noon today. He's our man.
Oh, well, let's get busy. Check the record.
No, we can't do that yet.
Can't? Why not?
This trip was made around noon, as you say. Driver was working their first shift.
Oh?
That's from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon.
Uh-oh.
First shift drivers won't be in here till 4 with their logs.
Gee whiz, it's just 3:20 now.
Well, if you want to wait...
We'll wait. We've got to wait. My only hope is that whoever found that letter isn't too curious to refrain from opening it.
Caught with anxiety, Clark Kent starts pacing the floor of the taxicab office, praying that he may get possession of the precious letter before his enemies do. We'll learn in a moment where the all-important letter is. So stand by. In a room on the 18th floor of the Metropolis Hotel, a small, thin man with the round, pink face of a baby stands by admiringly as his companion, a tall, dark man with heavy black eyebrows wearing immaculate evening clothes, painstakingly knots his white bow tie before the mirror of a dresser.
You look like class in that suit and fish eyebrows.
Yeah, I gotta look like class tonight, Buster. Gotta mix with the high society, you know.
Yeah, but don't worry, pal. I tell you, you look more like a dude than the dudes themselves.
Ah, thanks.
What's the idea of getting dressed so early? It's only the middle of the afternoon.
I told you. Takes 3 hours to get out to this joint. Ah, blast it. Now I spoil this tie, too. And I hope I got another.
Hey, that's the same tie you thrown away. What's the idea?
I gotta look just right, that's the idea. Ah, good. I got another white tie.
Look, you better bring back something good to make up for all them ties and the cost of renting the fancy duds.
I'll bring back plenty, Buster. Don't worry.
I'll bet you will. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Read this to me, will you, eyebrows?
Yeah, what's that?
It's a letter.
Ah, go on. Who'd send you a letter? You can't read.
Nobody sent it to me. I found it in that cab we was in just before.
I didn't see any letter in that taxi.
It was down behind the seat. I always reach down for a look-see. And sometimes I find money that rolled out of a guy's pocket. This time I found a letter. I'll read it to me, will you?
What do you want to read somebody's letter for? Go look at the funny papers. Good for more laughs.
Oh, you already looked at him. Anyhow, I like to hear other guys' mail read to me. Ah, come on, eyebrows. Be a good guy. Read it to me, huh?
Haven't got time, Buster. Throw it away. I'll read you the comics when I get back.
Nah, I don't like that. I like to hear letters. Ah, please, eyebrows.
Oh, all right.
Gee, thanks.
Come on. Give it to me. Hurry up, quick.
All right, here it is. I got it out of the envelope already.
Yeah, good. Says, Dear Mr. White, Lois, and Jim.
Oh, it's written to 3 people, huh?
Yeah, 3 people. Prepare yourselves for a shock.
Hey, it starts out real good, don't it?
Since it's very possible that I may never return,
What'd you stop reading for?
Hey, wait a minute, Buster.
What's the matter?
Great snakes and fishes. This letter is from Superman.
His eyes fairly popping out of his head, the man called Eyebrows reads the letter written by Superman. Apparently, the letter in which the Man of Steel reveals his identity as Clark Kent. Who is Eyebrows and his little companion, Buster? What will their possession of the letter, revealing one of the most carefully guarded secrets in the world, mean to Superman? Tomorrow's episode is packed with thrills and excitement, gang, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman. Now, the adventures of Superman. Before he left to search for the lost planet Apollo, Superman left Dr. Millicent a sealed letter in which he revealed the secret of his double identity, and which was to be given to Editor Perry White in the event Superman failed to return. But now the letter has disappeared, and while Superman hunted frantically for it, a little man named Buster, who was unable to read, brought a letter he had found in a taxi to his companion, a man he calls Eyebrows, and asked him to read it to him. Eyebrows glanced casually through the letter, then gasped,
Great snakes, Buster. This letter is from Superman.
As we continue now, in their room at the Metropolis Hotel, Buster's eyes have grown round as saucers in his pink babyish face as Eyebrows reads the letter.
Dear Mr. White, Lois, and Jim, prepare yourselves for a shock.
I already heard that part.
Shut up and listen. Since there is a strong possibility that I may be lost in space while searching for the lost planet Apollo,
Huh?
or perhaps fall a victim to the direct rays of the sun,
What's that?
I am arranging to have this letter delivered to you after a specific lapse of time, which would indicate that I am not returning to Earth.
I don't get it.
Okay, never mind. I, my dear friends, am the person you have long known only as Clark Kent.
Hey, you said this letter was from Superman.
Well,
Well, the way you read it now, the guy, if you ask me, is a screwball. Well, he says it's somebody named Clark Kent.
sure. He's Clark Kent, too.
Oh, there's two guys?
Yeah, that's right.
Ah, what you giving me? Not even Superman can be two different guys.
Oh, no. You don't get it, Buster. The way he goes on to say here, when he's not making like Superman, he puts on regular clothes and a pair of glasses and passes himself off for a reporter named Clark Kent.
But why does he disguise himself? Is he running a racket?
No. I'm trying to tell you. Look, when he's a reporter, he can find out stuff without anybody getting wise he's Superman, see? Then he turns into Superman. And whammo, cracks down on the big shot thief or the spy, maybe, or whoever he's after.
Ah, baloney. You can't make me believe a guy like Superman, what can jump from here to China like that, or pick up this whole hotel and drop it in the river, goes around disguising himself like it's somebody else.
Why not? Why not?
Well, I say it's a gag somebody's playing on this guy Clark Kent, whoever he is. How could Superman get lost?
Well, if he went looking for some planet, like he said.
Well, I don't know. Well, still he couldn't get lost.
Yeah, who said he got lost? He just says in this letter he might get lost, or something else might happen to him. Now, look, Buster. If this letter is on the level, we'll be millionaires.
All right, I tell you, it's a gag. Give me that again, Eyebrows. I mean what you just said.
I said if this letter's on the level, we'll be millionaires.
Yeah? How?
Why, there are plenty of big operators, real big operators. They're scared of Superman, see?
Yeah. So how does that make us $1 million?
Hey, don't you see? We sell this information about Superman and Clark Kent being the same guy. And whoever's planning a big job can have Kent tailed, see? Then, if Kent gets close, the guy trailing him tips off the boss before Kent can wise up all the way and make like Superman. Get it?
Look at Eyebrows. Even if you was right, which you ain't, how could you ever prove it?
That's what I got to figure out right now. There must be a way. So shut up, Buster. Let me think.
While Eyebrows seeks a way to prove the truthfulness of the astonishing information which has fallen into his hands, Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are in the office of the Red and White Taxi Company, with Joe McCluskey, a driver who has just come off duty.
Sure. I remember dropping this young fellow up the observatory today. About noon it was. 2 old guys were with him.
That's right. Mr. White and Dr. Millison.
Yeah, but I didn't find your letter in my cab.
Uh-oh. Now what, Mr. Kent?
Just a minute, Jim. Look, Mr. McCloskey.
Just call me Mac. Everybody calls me Mac.
Mac?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, Mac. Did you examine your cab thoroughly after my friends got out of the observatory?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. But you just looked the car over yourself.
Yes, that isn't there now. Mr. White might have dropped it on the floor or behind the seat where another passenger found it.
Yeah, I suppose that could be.
Gosh, how are we going to find out, Mr. Kent?
Your log, Mac. The record you keep of your trips might help us. Can you check where you went after you dropped your fare at the observatory?
Well, wait a minute. Let me see. Yeah, sure. Here we are. I left the observatory at 2:45. Went to 311 Park Place.
Took a passenger there?
Sure. Picked him up at the observatory. I remember he was a little guy with a beard.
And he's the man we want to see. Look, can you come with us to where you took him, Mac? I'll pay you double for your time.
Sure, be glad to go along, Mr. Kent.
Fine, let's go.
A letter, you say? What kind of a letter?
A plain white envelope, Mr.
Biddleheimer, Professor Marcus Aurelius Biddleheimer.
Hey, boy, set him up.
I'm head of the Applied Science Department at Metropolis University.
Oh, yes, Professor Biddleheimer. I've heard of you, of course.
Really? Have you read my book?
Well, not the last one.
You
about
really
this
should
letter.
read my last book, Mr.
Yes,
Kent.
but
As a
about the
newspaper reporter, you'll find it very interesting indeed.
Sure I will, and I'm looking forward to reading it, Professor. But about this letter, it's very important
Oh,
to see, and
yes,
I'd like...
a letter. What about a letter?
Well, you see, I think it might have been dropped in the taxi you came back in from the observatory. Now, it was a plain white envelope, heavily sealed with red wax, and it was addressed to Perry White, Lois Lane, and Jim Olson.
We think Mr. White dropped the letter.
Well, I didn't see any letter.
You sure of that, Professor?
Of course I'm sure, young man. Quite sure.
I see. Well, thank you very much. All right, come on, Jim. Mac, let's go.
Biddleheimer washes up our idea that Mr. White lost the letter in Mac's taxicab, huh?
Yeah, sure does.
Not altogether.
But the professor was in the cab after all.
I know, Jim.
Well, if the letter was there, he'd have seen it.
Maybe not. If it was under one of the little spare seats or behind the main cushion, you might have missed it. Besides, it's obvious that he's the sort of person who's too preoccupied to pay much attention to things around him.
Gosh, but
I know, Jim, I know. You think we're playing an awfully long hunch.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
it's the only hunch I have right now, and I've got to follow it. Keep hoping we find the letter before somebody gets overly curious and opens it.
Hey, Mr. Kent, what was in this envelope? A lot of money?
Something much more important, Mac. Take another look at your log, will you, please? And tell me where you went after you dropped Professor Biddleheimer at his house here.
Sure. Hey, let me see. That'll be right here at the bottom of the sheet, because it was my last call. Yeah, here it is. I picked up a fare on the boulevard and took him to the Metropolis Hotel.
Gosh, that's the biggest hotel in town.
Now, just a minute, Jim. You remember what your last passenger looked like, Mac?
Well, Mr. Kent, usual, I don't notice my fares much. Less than we get to talking, or there's something, different about him. Like that professor with his beard.
Try to remember, Mac. Try hard. It means a lot.
Let me see. I remember now. There were 2 guys I picked up.
2?
Yeah, sure. One was a little guy.
A lot of help.
Quiet, Jim. Go on, Mac.
Yeah, sure. And the other guy, I remember him. He was taller and he had bushy eyebrows like John L. Lewis, you might say.
Oh?
Black bushy eyebrows. I remember now noticing them.
Black bushy eyebrows, eh? All right, let's get into the cab and go to the Metropolis Hotel.
Oh, look, Mr. Kent.
What?
There's over 1,000 rooms in the Metropolis Hotel.
I know.
And lobbies and dining rooms all full of people. How do you expect to find one man there, if he still is there, when all you know about him is that he has bushy eyebrows?
Leave that to me, Jim. All right, let's go, Mac. Step on it.
Okay, Mr. Kent, hang on.
His face drawn with anxiety, Clark Kent is driven to the Metropolis Hotel, where we left Eyebrows and Buster with the vital letter. But are they still there? We'll know in a moment when we return for the tense climax of today's episode. So stand by. As Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen in Mac's taxi approach the Metropolis Hotel, Eyebrows and Buster, the 2 men in possession of Superman's letter, are leaving the elevator and walking through the lobby to the doors.
Now look at Eyebrows. Even if it was true, and this Kent guy is Superman.
That's a lot.
Okay. But like I say, if he is, we're playing with dynamite.
So what?
Well, so what? Oh, ain't we got trouble enough keeping clear of the cops without getting in trouble with
Will you
Superman?
keep your yap shut?
But look.
Shut up. Follow me outside. Gotta get a cab.
I don't like this.
There's an empty cab. Come on, Buster.
Listen, will you? I tell you, we're playing with
I'm
dynamite.
willing to play with a little dynamite for $1 million.
Aren't you?
Well, yeah, but I don't...
Get in the cab.
Where we going?
Do a little investigating. 1426 Market Street, driver. And step on the gas.
As the car bearing Eyebrows and Buster draws away from the Metropolis Hotel, another taxi pulls to a stop in front of the hotel. Clark Kent, Jimmy Olsen, and Max the driver emerge and hurry into the lobby. 1 moment earlier, and they would have intercepted the men they seek. Now, what will happen? Tomorrow's episode is swift and exciting, gang, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Say, who's in the know about kids in other countries, how they look and how they dress? Well, Kellogg has the answer with the cutouts on packages of Kellogg's Crumbles. Boy, will the kids in your family have a load of fun with these dolls of all nations, cutting them out and changing their costumes and collecting all 6 countries in the series, like Switzerland, Russia, Sweden. 2 cutout dolls on every package in full color. That's dolls of all nations on packages of Kellogg's Crumbles. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.